Okay, good morning, everybody. I think we have started. Just waiting for the chat box to come through and things like that. So today we are looking at another essay which was written for me by a student who wants to take CPE very soon, in a couple of months. And so we're just looking at the essays that he has written, and we want to see what corrections I've made and perhaps understand why I've made a lot of these corrections. Okay, so let's get started. And we're looking at this one here on waste management, this essay. Now I can quickly show you what the task was. So here we have two essays summarizing and evaluating the key points. So he's going to write an essay summarizing and evaluating the key points from both of these texts. One of them is about throwing things away, and one is about communications technology. And he has underlined and highlighted certain things which he wants to certainly mention. And make sure that the same points are in his own essay. So let's see what he's written. Okay, now this is a very good essay. I think it will get a very good mark, but let's have a look at for any mistakes that we might need to correct. So one of the most important issues that modern industrial societies need to deal with is waste management. Nowadays, industries produce a vast amount of items. Okay, that's one I ought to have changed, actually, a vast number of items. Technically, we use number with countable noun, and we can see this is countable because it says items, and we say amount with uncountable noun. Now, you can see I missed that, unfortunately, when I marked his paper. And so, unfortunately, sometimes you do miss the odd one here or there. And it is because the ones that you miss are the ones that the mistakes that the natives make. You know, if you listen to any native nowadays, all the time they mix up amount and number. Very often you hear the amount of times, it's wrong. The amount of people, it's wrong. It should be the number of times, the number of people. And so it is those kind of mistakes which you miss, because so many people, so many natives say them as well, that it's very easy not to even notice they're a mistake. But this is a mistake, really. It should be a vast number of items. And I do like the adjective, though, vast. It works very well here, a vast number of items, and encourage people to buy new products in order to replace the old ones. And then I changed the next keeping. He was trying to use a participle phrase, but I didn't like it. And it's because of dangling participles. This is obviously something I have spoken about before. I don't know why my chat isn't working. Not sure, something going wrong there, but I can see there are people here. So sorry, guys, if you're writing something today, I actually can't see any chat. It's technical difficulties, so we'll just carry on. So what do I mean by a dangling participle? Well, when you have a participle phrase, and he had the participle phrase keeping up with the latest technology, and the newest trend, which is good. We do keep up with the latest technology and the newest trend, but the participle must describe the subject of the main clause. So what's the subject of the main clause? Let's have a look. Industries produce. Well, there's the subject, industries, and there's the verb, produce. So keeping up with the latest technology and the newest trend must be describing industries, but that's not what it ought to describe. It ought to describe people. Yeah, that's who is actually keeping up with the latest technology and the newest trend, and that's why technically this is a dangling participle. And I do advise you to avoid dangling participles in any academic essay, and certainly in CPE, because I've said before, we're trying to impress here. And if you're not careful of these dangling participles, then it will introduce a lot of ambiguity into your writing. So do always try and make sure your participle phrases are describing the subject in the main clause. So I changed this to comma, and so that we could have encourage people to buy blah, 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 and to keep up with the latest technology and the newest trend, because then that made more sense to me. As a result, don't really need of this fact. You can just say, as a result, a lot of goods are discarded, creating a negative impact on the environment. given the fact that many of them are not biodegradable. Now, I liked that. I like the introduction here. I do recommend getting rid of anything that seems redundant, that, you know, you can get rid of and it still makes perfect sense without it. And so I recommend getting rid of this fact. Okay. Let's keep going. This excessive consumption of products comes down to the aggressive advertising campaigns made by the big high-tech companies, such as Apple or Microsoft. For example, Apple's advertisements persuade people, particularly the youngsters, to splash out on the newest model of iPhone so that they can impress their friends. Okay, really good so far. All of this is good. Comma, throwing. Now, I've changed this again. I've noticed I've changed it in a very similar way to the last one. And the reason why it's incorrect is because throwing away their old devices is actually describing the youngsters, yeah, but it sounds like it's describing Apple's advertisements, because that's the subject of the main clause. Apple's advertisements persuade. Yeah, these participles, they must describe the subject of the main clause, not the object, yeah, of the main clause. And if they do describe the object and not the subject, then it's very confusing. It's really ambiguous. So be careful with these participles. Okay, let's keep going. Still can't see your chat, guys, so please don't bother saying anything to me today. I just can't see any of the chat. Sometimes there are technical problems. Okay, so I've changed it in a very similar way. But they throw away their old devices, even though they. Now, I noticed this last night when I was looking at it again. Do be careful with pronouns, guys, when you're writing these essays. And my advice is, if you're using the pronoun they in one sentence many times, it should never refer to different things. So let's check. So the first time that our student, and it's my Italian student, again, the Italian stallion, the first time that he uses they is to refer to the youngsters, yeah? Then he uses their. And really, we ought to be still referring to the same youngsters, to their friends, yeah, because it's a pronoun as well. So good, we are. But they throw away their old devices. Okay, we're still talking about the youngsters, even though the youngsters are fully functional. No, yeah, right at the end, we've got a they suddenly referring not to youngsters, but to the phones. And so I would actually change this they for phones, the phones. Never have one pronoun, they, referring to two different nouns. It's really confusing, and it won't help your essay be well, it won't help your essay get a top mark, because of course we need to be very careful with pronouns. We mustn't make them refer to different things, not in the same sentence, certainly not. Okay, discarding such a large number of technological products, notice I've chosen number and not amount, makes waste disposal more demanding, and it damages the environment. Good. Okay, despite it seems possible to stop this bad habit. Now, I've written down this mistake right here at the bottom, guys. Despite is a preposition, and what that means is that despite must be followed by a noun. Despite the fact that is a subordinating conjunction. I mean, okay, it's a multiple word conjunction, but it functions as a subordinating conjunction, like although, because, if, when. And what we mean is that it's followed by a whole clause. So if you want to use despite and then a whole clause, you'll need to use despite the fact that it seems impossible to stop this bad habit. Governments and private citizens are doing their best to recycle as much waste as possible. Several advertising campaigns were aired last year on national TV to try to raise awareness about this problem. And many people are careful when they recycle at their home or at their workplace. And I do notice when students use at their, because I think it sounds nice. That shows awareness of parallel structure. When you repeat those preposition determiner phrases and you do it so that they repeat in exactly the same way, it sounds really good. So well done. More attention should be given to the heavy usage of plastic bags in the supermarket, which are one of the main causes of marine pollution. Now, I missed this, and I'm not sure I would definitely say that it's wrong, although I definitely recommend saying which is one of the main causes of marine pollution. And that's because really the student means the heavy usage of plastic bags is one of the main causes of marine pollution, and not just plastic bags are one of the main causes. Now, because we can say plastic bags are one of the main causes, I wouldn't say that this is 100% wrong. However, when you've got a noun of noun, usually you're describing the first noun and not the second noun. And that's why, well, really, and it is the heavy usage of plastic bags that causes this marine pollution. So really, I would prefer which is one of the main clauses there. Waste management is one of the biggest challenges of our time. What governments and citizens are doing is very important, but is not enough. You could get rid of that is. It sounds redundant to me because you've already got, it is very important, but not enough. And then you've got that is X, but Y. So perhaps get rid of that is. I don't think it's the best. I mean, it's okay there. It's not wrong, but sometimes I think it's worth getting rid of it. I hope that measures will be taken against excessive consumerism. Notice no article here because we really are talking in general. There's not a specific type of excessive consumerism. And the usage of non-biodegradable materials, good. And then sadly, we've got one more dangling participle down here, aiming. If we just got aiming, that's describing the eye. Yeah, and that's not what we want. We want what is aiming to prevent further harm to the environment. Yeah, I think it's supposed to be describing the measures. The measures are aiming to prevent further harm to the environment, but I felt that this one was dangling. It wasn't describing the subject of the main clause, the I. And so for this reason, be careful with your participles. And he is good with participle phrases. I said that yesterday, but be careful. Perhaps this was, in fact, an earlier essay. And so I think he listened to some of the points that I made about dangling participles and he stopped using them. Now, I've put thereby in here. It's an excellent word to use in these essays. And you'll see when I look at his other essay that I put this in at the end as well, the same word, thereby. And it means in this way, yeah? In this way, preventing further harm to the environment. So I liked it to finish like that. I felt that it sounded better. Now, I'm going to stop this one now. I haven't been able to see any of the chat, so I'm going to end this stream, and then in about 5 or 10 minutes, I'll start another class on money vocabulary. Yeah, you can come to this class, guys, and hopefully the chat will be working then. But I will be back in 5 or 10 minutes. You're welcome to join me, and hopefully, fingers crossed, the chat will be working then. Okay, thanks everybody for coming, and see you in 5